Hey, this is Tonja K. Taylor with River Ring Creative Arts. Today I have a 5-part series to give you success strategies to help your students be better readers. I like to call them power readers. It's an acronym that the Lord gave me a few years ago, POWER. It stands for Purposeful Operations with Eternal Rewards. So here's strategy number 1. Start them reading on positive things, not just educational things. Some educational things can have, I've even looked up stuff online, they can have curse words in them. Goodness gracious, you need to do your research ahead of time. There's enough negativity in the world, enough curse in the world. We want our kids to experience positive things. And especially as I tutor online, which is what I've been doing for almost 3 years now, there is a unique opportunity, a unique window for me to reach these kids and give them something that they don't get in a normal school day. I do, of course, work often to align what I share with them to core standards, and I did teach in public school for several years. I've taught many things. I've taught in nonprofits, I've taught private lessons, homeschool, what have you, private school. So I am a teacher and teaching over 30 years, and the Lord keeps giving me strategies to help these kids, not only to learn, but to enjoy the experience and be touched at various levels of life. So that's what a good teacher does. We touch them, we impact them positively, not just mentally, but emotionally, socially, spiritually, as the Lord leads. So you want to start them reading positive things, and there's a lot of material out there, or you can create your own like I do. I'm a writer. I publish books and articles and songs and poems, so I've shared some of my material with them on platforms where I have the freedom to do that. So be creative. The Lord will give you ideas, and He knows what will reach each student. Number 2, for success strategies to help your readers be power readers. Have them write, because as I tell my students, reading and writing and spelling all go together. Have them write, which is always a good thing to do anyway, because many experts have proved that there is a connection between your brain and the physical act of writing. Have them write 3 or more sentences of positive things about themselves. And if they're just shy or something and they're just like, I can't think of anything, maybe they're afraid of bragging on themselves and they've been taught that's wrong, then you can help them by saying, okay, write this. Mara learns quickly. She is very respectful. She's creative and helpful. And no one could argue with that, besides it's your teacher's opinion, and this is going to affirm her. And the more she writes it, and then when you have her read it out loud, which you will, then that will affirm her even more. See how this works? So number 3, this is a strategy I teach many readers, and I've taught readers, people learning English, children and adults from 8 other countries, and they learn the same way that we do growing up in America pretty much. They just have an accent that they are working on getting rid of often. But we all learn the same way. So as I've told them, and I tell my students of various ages in elementary class, look for the tiny real word in the big unfamiliar word. Not every word has one, but a lot of times you can find a real word that the kids already know. They know how to say it, and it will help them with the pronunciation. For instance, the word categorize, it has the word cat at the beginning. So when my children are reading out loud, and you always want to have them read out loud. Now some will be shy and they want you to do all the reading. You can't do that. Some will just refuse to read, and you cannot really control that. For instance, I'm teaching in some public schools online. I go into the public school where they are, and they're pulled out in a little group in the corner of the room. You can't force the child to read, and some are just too shy. But you do everything you can to encourage them and to make them feel safe. So at least they are hearing all of the teaching going on. So that's another thing they need to be hearing. And there, as I've explained to many classes, there is a difference. For instance, if they're writing something and we know when we write, we know how it sounds in our minds, but when we read it out loud, we often realize, oh, this sounds different than I thought it did in my mind. So I try to tell them, when you're reading your own work, you're going to hear it in your brain a certain way, but when somebody else hears you speak it, then they may hear it another way. So that helps them tweak. So that's a help for writing and reading right there. So look for the tiny real word in the big word. So this helps them. It's kind of like a treasure hunt. See if you can find a tiny real word in this big word that you don't know yet. And that almost always helps them pronounce at least that part of it. Okay, another thing that has helped, well, learners in the United States and in other countries is to realize almost every word, because I was saying every word, my husband corrected me. Almost every word in English has to have at least one vowel in every syllable or beat. I may say the word beat, but I remind the kids that the real name of it is syllable, because they're going to have to recognize syllables, prefixes, suffixes, and know how to divide those words into syllables. So almost every syllable in English has to have at least one vowel. That helps them with the spelling. It helps them the more they learn and dig into this, the more they can successfully break down syllables. So there's more there. So by the way, the two of the words my husband came up with that do not have a vowel in every syllable are schism and prism. So there you go, if you were wondering. So this is part 1 of success strategies to help your readers be power readers. Or maybe I should shorten the title, say success strategies for your power readers. So stay tuned for part 2, and happy reading.